into the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Nathan Zegura with you for Cleveland Browns Daily. Gibby is with me, and we're kicking it off with, frankly, Cleveland Browns royalty. A Big L luminary strolled by. We were talking about having a catch.
Is this our first time on?
Is this your first time on, CBD?
Yeah, I think so.
It might be. That voice you're hearing, none other than the Browns' chief of staff, Callie Brownson. Callie was walking by. We were lamenting the fact that we haven't been able to have our catch yet, and maybe we will. So now we're going to have a verbal catch here on the radio. And these joint practices have been – it was awesome yesterday to watch. The Browns thought had a very nice day. But for you, what's this been like? The logistics of putting everything together. We know you're the person who tries to make sure the coach doesn't have to deal with any craziness. What's this been like?
Oh, absolute madness, but in the best way possible. Like, it's exciting, it's fun. Usually I'm planning out the logistics just for our team, and for our head coach, but really, like, we're the host, right? So we want to provide the best possible experience for our visiting team as well. Everybody's trying to get working, so you're keeping two teams in your mind as you're planning out all of these things. And, the Giants have been fantastic, and I thought we had such a smooth, great day yesterday. And that's really what it's about for me, is just kind of handling all of those details so that when we get to those team periods, it's running efficiently, smoothly. We're having great competition in the periods, and I thought we accomplished that yesterday. So getting on the other side of yesterday and looking back, I'm really happy for all the work that we put in on the front end to make these 2 days very successful.
Now, coach is always all about the operation. So did he get a little praise there for a smooth operation? Or did he say, hey, let's not get too excited, we got another day to go?
Well, no news is good news.
Okay.
So I'll say, as long as I'm not getting any of that feedback, then we did a pretty good job. So I'd say no news is good news. So I felt like it was a success.
So last night on the Kevin Stefanski show, Coach shared with us, and we'll have that interview for you guys later on today. He shared with us that there was a welcoming committee, and it was all the coaching staff and the leadership council on this team, 10 guys or so that went over there. Were you a part? Were you over there? Were you in that mix?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that was such a great idea, too, and just another Coach Stefanski getting ahead of the game and really understanding the bigger picture, because it was a great opportunity for everybody to come together and realize why you even have these joint practices. There's such a bigger purpose. It's a chance to go and compete up against a different team with different looks and different matchups, because you can get so caught in the everyday, of your teammate being across from you in some of these periods. So there's so much about it that you can get, and the idea is, hey, we've got 2 days of this awesome opportunity to see different looks, different matchups, different personnel. Let's make the most of it. Let's not get caught up in all the other, immature stuff that seems to sometimes unfold.
There was no shenanigans, no fracases, no melees.
So I thought it was a great opportunity for coaches and players to come together and say, like, we want to make the most out of these next 2 days. Let's take care of each other. That was the big dialogue that I could hear from the players getting together. Let's take care of your guys. We're going to take care of our guys, and then let's ultimately take care of each other, because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really great, and it went well. Our players gained a lot from it. They did too. And then you could also kind of see some of these relationships that formed because of it when team went along, some fun competition, if you will, as opposed to the more chippy stuff that tends to unfold. But it was great. So I thought it was a phenomenal idea, and it definitely worked out in our benefit.
When you were with the Bills in 2019, did you guys have any joint practices that year?
We did. We went down to Carolina.
Okay. And how was that relative to what you saw out here today?
Very similar. I think, they did a great job, too, hosting it. And, again, from an operational standpoint, when you can – and I learned a lot, doing this job from things that I witnessed when I was in Buffalo, some stuff I did at Dartmouth. I did the short stint with Dan Quinn in Atlanta in the spring, where I got to follow Steve Scarnecchia, who's now with Coach Saleh in New York.
With the Jets.
So it's like all of those people, but definitely how they did things down in Buffalo, I learned a lot. So a lot of that I applied into, okay, so here's some of the things we did. I was able to apply a lot of the lessons learned from that, here as well.
So in addition this week to the joint practices, we got the game on Sunday. You and I emceed. I was certainly not on the panel, but we got to do a Women in Sports Chalk Talk for the American Dairy Association Mideast, just right over there. You can see maybe a little chip shot over to where we were in front of the grandstands over there. And I got to tell you, it was really powerful listening to you and to Megan and Katie Messick, our dietitian, Megan Rock, obviously basically the chief of staff for Andrew Berry on that football side, and Jenner Takancic, our vice president of community relations, kind of share your stories. And I know you saw some of the feedback that you guys received. There were young women in the audience that day who were inspired, but your journey, I think, is so cool, and is, you've made history. Your stuff is in Canton. Do you ever take a step back and say, wow, this is awesome, but knowing you that I still have so much more I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I take a moment of gratitude on my drive in every morning. You know, this is crazy. I'm living out something that I've dreamt about for so long, and I'm so blessed. I don't take any of it for granted, absolutely. But yeah, there's still work to be done, you know, and I'm really excited about that because I never want to get to a point where I plateau. And luckily in this job, I don't think you ever get to plateau. But I'm surrounded by such amazing people and such amazing women as well. And then the Haslams, who are so supportive of the growth of women and just diversity as a whole within our organization, who want to promote those opportunities to grow. So yeah, I have this hunger inside of me. I'm very excited for the next step of every piece of my career. But I got some really good advice from Todd Bowles, actually, back when I was with the Jets, my internship with the Jets. And his favorite, you know, he would always say, be where your feet are. And that's another thing too, like, you know, if you're thinking about the next job, you're not going to do a great job at the current one. So I also try to keep that in mind as well. You know, I'm just trying to be the best chief of staff in the NFL every day.
I love that.
And you know, I'm fortunate to work in an organization that supports that as well.
And you've gotten a chance also to work with the running backs this year with Stump Mitchell. What's it like being in that room?
Oh, it's amazing. You know, Stump's awesome. And it's funny, I just talked about the Jets. He was on Todd Bowles' staff that year with the Jets. So Stump and I, you know, crossed paths back in 2017. He's the OG. I mean, how else can you explain it? He's the OG.
What a presence.
100%. And he's perfect for that room, too, you know. He has those moments where, like, you see the strong personality come out. And then these other moments where he's very even keel. And he's been awesome to learn from. His perspective, he's seen so many different systems and so many different ways to teach some of these things that he can find a way to make it relevant to the person he's teaching it to. And I've really enjoyed, you know, I'm such an on-the-field, in-person learner and teacher that, like, I really enjoy his individuals because he's very hands-on. He's out there. He's showing you what he's talking about. He's expecting a lot, high energy. It's been really fun for me, and learning the game from his eyes, I think, has been a lot of fun to this point.
That's awesome. Now, are you the only person on the staff that actually is guaranteed to work with Demetric Felton every day because you're with the running backs, but then you also throw to the receivers? So you're the only one that's guaranteed some Demetric time, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
It is a fair statement.
Yeah, one way or another, I'm going to be tossing the rock to Demetric Felton.
Do they give him a hard time in the running back room when he, like, decides to show back up?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. You know, sometimes he, like, yo-yos a little bit, right? And he's like, oh, I'm with them today. And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
cool.
I'm with them
Your
today.
new friends.
But he's gotten really good at it. Like, if he's going to be with the wide receivers that day, he'll try to avoid the running backs. If he's going to be with the running backs that day, he'll try to avoid the wide receivers. So he's just trying not to get razzed here and there. But I'll tell you what, he's such a good kid. I've really enjoyed working with him. He's so smart. He's very eager, and he takes feedback so well. In fact, he, like, encourages you to give him feedback. How did you feel about that? How did that look? That felt weird. Did it look weird to you? Like, he's just a great kid. I'm really excited to see how things pan out for him with us and in our system.
All right, last one, and I'm sure this is important in the running back room. Have you gotten your Chub Crunch yet?
I was talking to him today because all I heard was that the cereal came out. I hadn't seen the picture or anything. So I asked him, I was like, are they like Chub O's? Like, what are they? What's the name? And he was like, no, it's Chub Crunch. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so I messed that one up.
They're pretty sweet. It's like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch because that was his favorite, and it's got a very Batman motif, obviously, the logo. It's pretty strong.
Right.
Maybe be a part of a nutritious breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Chavis Cook, too, right there.
Chavis, yes.
This operation doesn't happen without him, absolutely.
Let him hear you.
Yeah, let him hear you out there. So, but no, yeah, I guess I got to go get a box or two. Because, you know.
Well, you know somebody who probably has access to quite a few.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I've got the plug.
Yeah, you got the hookup. You got the hookup. Well, Callie, we appreciate you stopping by. This is such a treat. That's why we love being out here on campus. You never know what's going to happen, and we know you've got so much to get to because this is the calm before the storm,
yes,
is it not? We're about to get things going in just about an hour and probably 15 minutes. The Giants will pull up. Police escorts will come. Is there going to be another meeting today because it was so successful yesterday? Are we going to welcome them again?
No, I think we're going to let it ride today.
Just let it roll.
I think we laid a good foundation yesterday. Yeah,
that's right. Now we're just putting on the accoutrements, the finer things, the tidings, as it were. Callie, thanks so much for joining us. Have fun out there today, and it's always a pleasure talking to you here on the show and just, frankly, just talking to you in life, being where our feet are, sharing a moment.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Had fun hanging out with you.
We did as well. We have so much more to come here on today's show. We've got the head coach, Kevin Stefanski. We've got an exclusive one-on-one with quarterback Kyle Lauletta. What else, Gibbe? Tell him.
Joe Thomas is going to stop by at 2
that's
o'clock.
right. The Hoff.
You know.
No big deal.
No, not
Chief
at all.
of Staff, Hoffs, pandemonium, cats and dogs living together. It's
Mass
Cleveland Browns
hysteria.
Daily. That's right.
You forgot the end of the line.
I know.
Shame.
But I went with pandemonium, which is a synonym.
No, not the movie line.
No, but it's a synonym.
Wrong.
And it's a word that I like. It's pandemonium, baby. All right. I am shamed, but we will be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily right after this. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Zegura and Gibbe here. What a fun treat to start the show with Callie Brownson, the Browns Chief of Staff, stopping by for a little fun and frivolity. Today, though, our Ohio Business Machine Hot Topics, OBM, Ohio Business Machine's preferred copier provider of the Cleveland Browns. So have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com today. Number one, recap of the joint practice, and I would say the Browns – frankly, we're dominant, Gibbe. I thought the Browns were the better team in terms of execution. The Browns were more physical. The Browns were sharper. They were flat out better. And in the move the ball period, the Browns scored a touchdown. And then Greg Newsome picked off Daniel Jones.
I think we've seen in past joint practices us have a good day but never necessarily win the day in the 9 years that I've been doing this. Yesterday was a bloodletting.
Yes.
I mean, we took care of some business yesterday, and right from the get-go, like it was right in front of us with the running backs and the tight ends, and Njoku putting on a show right here in front of us, and then Jarvis Landry just doing whatever he wanted on the football field. And
it was fun to see some of the stars, that we haven't really gotten to
Yes.
see in a competitive situation against
Yeah.
anybody other than the Browns. And Baker was great. You meant Jarvis.
Yes, and
Chief.
then it was just awesome in the 11-on-11. Literally full sidelines.
Yeah.
And a game going on, and no one was here. Like it was awesome because you could hear both sides, you could see it all. I mean, the joy when Newsome had that pick, the Hollywood touchdown catch. Hollywood going to be on BPA this weekend.
Yeah, what a get by
There
you,
go.
Gibbe. Way to go.
But like it was just awesome. It was a cool experience, and I would expect the Giants to come back today. They were running sprints yesterday after practice.
After practice,
as a team,
they ran sprints, which felt punitive, and everybody noticed it. So I'm sure they're going to come out with a little fire, and you want to be sure, that everything stays safe as it was yesterday, and that'll be, the goal. Now, even when things do stay safe and people take care of each other, there still can be injuries, unfortunately, in football, and the Browns suffered a big one. Jacob Phillips reportedly done for the year, according to Adam Schefter, with a torn biceps tendon. Sione Takitaki also left the field yesterday. So what does this mean? Well, we'd been talking all along about how there were probably 7 guys for 6 spots in this linebacker room. And those 7 guys that we were talking about were Anthony Walker Jr., Sione Takitaki, Mac Wilson, Jacob Phillips, obviously Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Malcolm Smith, the veteran who has played so well for you a year ago, and then Elijah Lee, who can play linebacker but is a core member of your special teams. Now, that doesn't even include Tony Fields, your draft pick this year, because we haven't seen him yet. And so we don't know what that means for Tony Fields. But you had those 7 for 6 spots. So now I think you know who your 6 are. Right, you have a pretty good idea about who your 6 are. But here's the thing: there's already talk, outside of the building. Obviously, nothing official has come from the Browns yet. That's why we said it was reported by Adam Schefter. But that the Browns are hopeful he can come back at some point this year. Now, to be on the IR where you are eligible to return, you must be on the initial 53-man roster. So if the Browns were to place him on IR today, then he is done for the year. He cannot come back, but they would have that spot. So now you're looking at a situation where you are likely going to have 7 linebackers on your initial 53 because Jacob Phillips will be on your 53 and likely then placed on IR if there is hope, in fact, that he can come back. He's a guy they were counting on. On the field, this is a position where you had the depth to deal with something like this. He wasn't a starter, but he was going to be a quality backup, a guy who worked in the sub-packages. But now you're going to have, probably more JOK, honestly. More Mac Wilson, who's played well. More Malcolm Smith. More Taki. So you can withstand that. Now, the immediate impact is this. Anthony Walker Jr. probably not going to play on Sunday, I would guess, if things do follow, and we'll get more of an update from Coach Stefanski. But the vibe you get is that it's going to be very similar to what we saw in Jacksonville. That is not official. We haven't heard that yet, but that's just kind of the vibe you get in the way that when you talk to the starters, how they're talking about these joint practices versus a preseason game. This they feel like is their great opportunity to get 1v1 work. So Anthony Walker probably wouldn't play in a game. Mac Wilson has been at practice every day but hasn't been in team period, so I can't imagine they would put him out in a game. Sione Takitaki just injured his hamstring yesterday. I can't imagine that he would be put out into a game this weekend. So that's 3. Tony Fields is not able to go.
Not yet.
That's 4. Jacob Phillips is out for sure. That's 5. So who's left on the roster to play in this game? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Who had first team reps yesterday.
Malcolm Smith. And Elijah Lee.
Big game for Elijah Lee.
So I think those are your only 3. Now, I would expect the Browns to probably add 2 linebackers into the mix immediately. And one guy that would make a lot of sense is probably Montrell Meander. He was with you until he was released on Tuesday, knows the room, knows the system, has been with the Browns for year after year after year. So I bet Montrell will come back, and they'll probably look for another linebacker, perhaps somebody that they have some familiarity with. I've seen reports out there, again, reports, not confirmed by the Browns at all, but a report that Willie Henry, who had been with the Browns in 2019, would be making his way back. So you need linebackers here that can play in practice today and that can play in this game on Sunday. So Montrell and whoever it is they sign, if Montrell's the guy, whoever these two linebackers or one, whatever is brought in, is going to have to play a lot because you don't want Malcolm Smith and JOK playing the whole game. And you're without, as I mentioned, many, many other linebackers. So that's, to me, is going to be a fascinating thing to watch here. Does anybody get into the building today? And if so, are they able to come in here and participate? Because that's what you're going to need them to do, is come in and be ready to go. And so that's why I think somebody who's been in the system, which would be Montrell, that seems like it would make a lot of sense because he knows the calls, and then you're trying to get somebody else in here, you try to get up to speed. And now Jacob Phillips' injury, we talked about the impact on the linebacker room, but it also has a special teams impact. He was a guy who's going to be on all four phases of special teams. And so you've lost quite a bit of your core from special teams from a year ago. If now Jacob Phillips isn't there, Tavier Thomas has moved on to Houston. Tay Davis is down in Houston. Kadero Hodge right now is battling to try to find a roster spot on this team. And so you might have significant turnover on that side of the ball. Some of the members of the Giants staff making their way out onto the field here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus. But that to me is not a concern. You've got Mike Prefer, but special teams is now becoming an area. We lost Steve Carlson, another guy who was a core special teams player a year ago. So that's –
if you needed an onside kick recovered, that's your guy.
Look no further than Stiff Arm Steve. He was tremendous in that regard. So that's what we need. That's what we're wondering about. That's what we need to see. And, I would imagine that we'll get some type of an announcement from the Browns today if there are going to be more guys on the field. That I don't know. But if there are going to be more guys here, we'll see. We'll see if they're out here today, right?
Yeah. The injuries are becoming a concern on defense. And there's a lot of guys down.
Okay, let's just go through your top three. Let's go through all three. Let's go through all three levels of your defense. Defensive end, Miles is not practicing. Jadeveon is not practicing. Tack McKinley hasn't been here, but the good news is, again, like I said earlier in the week, optimism that he will be back sooner rather than later, and that he will be back. So that's good. But you don't have your top three defensive ends. That's for practice as well as the game on Sunday, most likely. Inside, this is the defensive tackle room is the one room that's feeling good, footloose and fancy-free. You've got everybody. Malik McDaniel's been back this week and practicing. You've got 7 on the roster currently. All 7, I believe, are available. Malik Jackson, now he probably won't play on Sunday if it's similar to what they did in Jacksonville. That has not been announced officially yet, so that's just based on, paying attention to the trends and seeing what the guys seem to think.
Yeah, I mean, if they have another good practice today, what more do you need to see?
Then you've got, Malik and Andrew Billings. You've got Jordan Elliott, Tommy Togiai. You've got Sheldon Day, who frankly has been, I think, one of the stars of the offseason for the Cleveland Browns in that defensive tackle room. You've got Marvin Wilson and Malik McDowell. I think all able to go. We'll find out about, Malik McDowell and his availability for the game on Sunday, I would imagine sometime soon. Go to linebacker. We just went through that. Right now, you're down all three of your kind of that young trio of, Taki, Mack, and Jacob Phillips. Significant. Tony Fields hasn't practiced at all.
Yeah.
Significant. So you're missing 4 guys there, 3 of whom were in your top rotation. Cornerback, Denzel hasn't been practicing. A.J. Green did not practice yesterday with an injury.
You still got to take it easy, I think, with Greedy, working him back in.
But he's looked good. He had a nice day yesterday. Nice pass breakup as well. But you also lost Keandre Thomas, who played basically the nickel the entire way against the Jags. You lost him to a hamstring injury, was waived injured, and now is on IR, done for the season. M.J. Stewart, who has been playing some at safety but is a safety nickel as well, played nickel for you last year, he's out. Okay, so now we're at 4 corners that are not participating. Go to the safety room. You don't have Delpit. Ronnie has been out here. He's back, but wasn't in team yesterday in the joint practice. Maybe that'll happen today. No Delpit, no Redwine. And then M.J. Stewart had been working back there, so he kind of counts as being out in 2 spots. So, yeah.
There's
on the
a lot
offense,
of guys.
You're bringing Odell back slowly.
Yep.
Michael Dunn missed yesterday for the first time. He was out of practice yesterday with a back. And Anthony Schwartz has been back this week but didn't participate yesterday. Other than that, you're good.
Knock on wood. Yeah, knock.
The knock is made. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's adding up on the defensive side, and that's, to me, what makes what we did in the preseason opener and what we did yesterday all the more impressive, because you didn't have a lot of those key guys on the defensive side of the ball participating. We'd like it to stop. No more injuries, please. Because, like I said, we're going to have to bring guys in to play linebacker on Sunday who were not here yesterday.
Yeah. That's why, and by the way, you had to go sign a wide receiver yesterday because most of your we can assume.
Oh, yeah, Jamarcus Bradley's banged up. Alexander Hollins has missed some time.
But we can assume that the top two probably aren't going to play.
Yeah, you're not going to, right?
So
and Felton's a running back this week.
Yeah.
He might need to pop Demetric Felton back up. He might be doing it all. He might be doing it all this week. So it's a pretty wild situation that's happened as a result of some of these injuries. And for the Browns, this is an injury bug that you want to see move on from town. Shoe fly, don't bother me. That's what you want as far as this injury bug here. All right, when we come back, the head coach.
Before we go to break.
Oh, you're right. I got to thank our good friends.
We have to shout out some unbelievably great people that provided lunch today. Thank God.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Got to give a huge Cleveland Browns shout-out to our great friends at Buffalo Wild Wings for providing lunch to our staff today. Buffalo Wild Wings is the best place to work during football season, so visit www.clebwwcareers.com to learn about open positions in Strongsville, Medina, and Beechwood. B-Dubs, where every day is game day, and I'll tell you, I'll just be honest, can't get enough of that mango habanero sauce. I can't do it. It's sweet. It's got the heat, and it's a creeper.
I did the sweet chili today with the chicken wrap.
Oh, an Asian zing? Sure.
Oh.
Thanks. Like that. I like all of it. So, obviously, get over there, have some wings, and look, if you're looking for a career, CLEBWWcareers.com. When we come back, the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski, from our one-on-one last night on the Kevin Stefanski Show on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. That is next. voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. You got to be pretty pleased with that. All right, let's hear now my one-on-one from last night's Kevin Stefanski show on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns radio network with the head coach of the Browns.
Coach,
you're down.
Practice is
about 9 minutes.
The Cross Country Mortgage campus, the Giants in town. I know that there at one point I felt overwhelmed with how much action was going on all over the place. I'm sure you did as well. But quick takeaways. What did you see from your squad?
Yeah, there was some sensory overload there, Nathan. I was on the field with our offense versus their defense. Coach Judge was on the field with his offense, and I was trying to sneak a peek in between plays and see what was going on over there. So a lot of tape to watch for us, and it was really good competitive work. I think we got a lot of situational ball in. It was really good for our offense to go against that defense, which is completely different than the defense we play, and vice versa. Their offense is very different than our offense. So for both sides of the ball to look at different schemes, I think was really important. And then special teams. You run full speed special teams drills out there. And I just think there's a way to do it where both sides are getting better. And I think that's what we accomplished today.
It looked like, since you were with the offense, we'll talk about them for a second, that for a guy like Jarvis and for Nick and for Kareem, who have been, I think, kind of chomping at the bit to get some real competition, that they really enjoyed themselves. And it felt like they stood out, especially Jarvis, that beautiful one-handed catch and made a number of receptions today.
Yeah, I think our guys are very competitive. And when you're going up against a different colored jersey, which they didn't do in a preseason game, so that's really the first time for a lot of those guys to do that, they want to compete. They want to, show that they can make that one-handed catch. They can make that cut, those type of things. So it was very competitive. Both sides took care of each other. Nothing, a tackle to the ground or anything like that. So it was an environment where really guys could work on their craft, and I saw a bunch of guys doing that.
Also, there was some familiarity with some guys on the roster who used to be here in Cleveland, and I thought that lent itself to some fun, back and forth moments, as it were. Baker and the Chief and Jabril and all having fun like that. Is that fun for you as a coach to get to see your guys not only competing but having fun out there as well?
Yeah, that was terrific. And what we did was we got our two leadership committees together, the Giants and the Browns, and it's about 10 guys on either side. So we went, and literally it was a meet and greet. We went and met the Giants buses when they got here, and I brought the entire coaching staff with me. So, there's a brotherhood to the players in this league. There's a brotherhood to the coaching. So to be able to check in with a bunch of coaches that you've worked with before, or meet up with some guys, and the players did the same. I just think it goes a long way in making sure that the guys understand that we're here to work, we're here to compete against each other. But it was good to see a lot of those guys catching up that they haven't seen each other in a little while.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. I was actually going to ask you, because Jim and I were doing Cleveland Browns Daily, and we saw that all took place very far away from when we were set up. And Jim made a joke. It looked like they were out there with muffins, a welcoming committee, welcoming the Giants in. But we noticed that, look, seems like to be the upper echelon of our team and the staff out there. So that's what it was. Just, hey, welcome here. Let's all talk. Let's get ready to go do some good work.
Yeah, exactly. I just think, when you do joint practices, as we've all heard about and talked about, you want to get your work in, and you don't want it to turn into something that it shouldn't be. So making sure that the players touch base with each other and the leaders of the team, because that's ultimately who drives this thing, the leaders of both teams. So it felt like that was important.
What was it like to get to see your offense against, to your point earlier, a different defense and a different style of defense than what they've seen here in Berea?
Yeah, I thought the guys did a nice job. We had some plays that we really wanted to specifically run in these 2 days to get a look at it versus that front or that coverage, if you will. So there's some things that we've dusted off and want to take a look at it and put it in the laboratory, so to speak. So we're able to do that. And then they're the type of things that you also don't want to show in the preseason games. So you do them in these practices to get a good look at them, get some tape on, teach off of it. And then in the preseason game, it allows you to be a little bit more generic, if you will.
Absolutely. And you mentioned your guys take good care of them. They took good care of you. Didn't seem like there was even anything close to any type of a fracas dust up or anything. And how happy is it for you with your team anyway, that you got that message through, and then your friend Joe Judge clearly got that message through to his side as well?
Yeah, Joe and I were speaking the exact same language to both teams. I mean, literally we talked about what we were going to tell our teams at our team meeting, and everybody got the message. And I think Joe has a veteran team. We have some really good veterans here that understand that they're the ones that drive home that message to their teammates and understand that these are absolutely work days for us, and we are very much in training camp mode. These practices, the games, they're extensions of training camp, and that's kind of where we're keeping our focus.
What did you see from Baker Mayfield today?
Yeah, I thought Baker played fast, liked a bunch of his progressions. I think he has a very good understanding of what we're trying to get accomplished on each play, which is a big deal. You've heard it said about plays, he knows where the bones are buried, because you got to have a deep understanding of each play and where everybody is and why you're going this way versus this look, and you're going that way versus that look. So I thought he processed quickly today.
I wonder if the Giants at any point said, hey, this guy was playing receiver a week ago, and now you have him in running back one-on-ones with linebackers. It felt like Demetric Felton, that wide receiver training made that look awful easy for him today.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that drill is definitely skewed to the offense.
The offense, yes.
It's a one-on-one drill. There's a lot of space out there on the football field. You have 53 and a third to defend as a linebacker. So that's no fair at times. But Demetric did a nice job. And for him to be able to play both positions throughout camp obviously provides value to what we're trying to do.
All right, let's talk about the one time when you got to watch everything that happened. When you guys moved onto the field, it looked like a move the ball, kind of a 2-minute period. You get down there, your offense actually was really humming along, but then you face a third down, and you talk about always how big third downs are in the red zone. Now, not inside the 10, so it wasn't technically a 4-point play, but it could make the case it had that feel. Baker drifts right, throws it back, and all of a sudden Hollywood Higgins off of a trampoline goes up and gets it.
Yeah, so we had some really good situational work. So we had a 2-minute drill, and it got late in the game. I want to say there's 6-7 seconds left on that last play. Truth be told, and I told this to Coach Judge and the Giants, truth be told, Baker was probably sacked on that play. But the guys did what they're supposed to do, which is let up and run past the quarterback. But Baker lofted one up, and Richard did a nice job of going to get it.
And then when you flipped it around, now this one there was no debate about. The pass obviously intercepted by Greg Newsome, and I've heard you talk about him. I've heard Jeff Howard and Brandon Lynch talk about this young man, his ability to take the film room onto the field and the progress that he's made. When you see him get that interception, the way the teammates reacted as a head coach, what was going through your mind there?
Yeah, that was great. Our defense is having some really nice moments throughout training camp, and then to perform in the 2-minute drive. I mean, that's the money portion of the game for the defense, and they want to be put in those positions where the D-line can pin their ears back and go rush the quarterback, and our DBs and linebackers can cover these guys. Oh man, it doesn't matter. And just to be able to execute those defenses and then make a play on the ball. And that's a big part of what we believe in here. We are all about the ball. We want to make plays on the ball. You'll see us constantly trying to strip the ball out throughout practice. So that's a huge part of what we are. So it's not surprising to see the team celebrate like that, because that's what we're in this for, that ball. And when they get it, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and the first one for Greg Newsome was very exciting to see. What's the plan for tomorrow, and then even looking ahead to Sunday as you try to wrap up a great week of work here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus?
Yeah, tomorrow, a very similar practice. We'll go against each other in one-on-ones like we did today. We'll move down to the red zone for that. We'll have a 7-on-7 in the red zone. We'll have a team in the red zone. We'll do another 2-minute drill at the end of practice.
30.
Than the one today. The offense will need a field goal, so it might go a little bit quicker. But looking for good work again. I thought it's a great example of what you can accomplish when guys are all about the work, and that's what they did today. And then we'll take a breather and then get ready to play in the game on Sunday.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Best of luck tomorrow. Best of luck on Sunday. And I know you can't wait to go dive into all this film, something new for you to digest for a lot of your starters out there.
That's right. A lot of tape to watch. But thanks, Nathan.
All right, that's the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. Again, that was from the Kevin Stefanski Show on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns radio network. Nathan Zegura and Jason Gibbs with you today out here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. It's absolutely beautiful. Fans trickling in. I'll tell you what, it is hot out there today, folks. So if you're coming out here, boy, if you're one of the lucky few in the VIP sections today, make sure you have some sunscreen, and we got plenty of water for you to make sure that you stay hydrated here with this heat. When we come back, the Parade of Stars continues. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback of the Browns, was at the podium just about an hour ago and broke down everything he saw in day one of the joint practices, a look ahead to day two, and, of course, much, much more. Baker Mayfield next here on Cleveland Browns Daily. The Giants have arrived here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Big Blue making their way into the field, onto the field basically, and into the shed in the back where they do some of their changing and getting ready. But they have arrived as the Browns will probably be taking the field here shortly as well. Practice set to get underway in just about 40 minutes from now here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. See Callie Brownson, who kicked off the show with us, working with Ryan Halloran, who is from the Giants, formerly with the Browns staff as well, and they're kind of going over the details for today's session. I'm sure some of the logistics that need to be ironed out there, and you see some, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do some of that. So that's good. You know what else is good? When your quarterback is in complete command of his offense, and that's what Baker Mayfield is, and he was at the podium earlier today.
Hey, Baker, we're just talking to David.
You're down.
You talked about speaking of a better mindset this year, and do you see that translating out to the field? Is he playing at a level that you guys would hope?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can limit distractions off the field, I mean, that goes for anybody. You know, if you take care of your business outside of the field, then you're able to come in this building and, you know, handle and do your job. But, yeah, David's playing with the mentality that he's trying to help our team out, and that's what we want with everybody.
How do you see him elevate his game? I know he went to the tight end camp they had. You spent some time with him in the offseason, but just you're in the room with him, as they say, and on the field with him. Just where have you seen him really elevate his game this offseason?
I mean, he's put on some really good weight. I mean, he's a large individual to begin with, but you know, that comes with a unique skill set to where he's able to run. And the thing we've told David is, if he sprints and runs, people are going to be scared, you know, for the vertical routes that he can, you know, bring to the table. So we're working with him on that, and he has the natural ability to high point the ball, and so we're working on that as well, and continue to expand and grow in that.
How much does that help you to have a guy like David? I think Donovan made a catch kind of vertical yesterday. When you can kind of, you know, you can throw the ball up and they're going to go get it for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes me feel very comfortable with the one-on-ones, and, you know, if the ball is those 50-50 type balls, that it's either theirs or nobody's catching it. So it's an easing mindset, you know, when they're able to make plays like that.
What's your relationship like with Saquon? And it's like you guys embracing each other yesterday.
Saquon's like my little brother. Treat him like my son. Pat him on the head and tell him good job. No, he's a great guy. You know, we spent time together training before the draft and just stayed in contact. Just a good guy that's extremely competitive, and so we're always talking trash back and forth to each other. You know, we made that Rookie of the Year bet, and he has that necklace, so he's got the notch over me right now.
Talked about going back and forth to trash talking. What was it like with Jabril yesterday?
Jabril and I have been going back and forth since 2016 when I first met him. So he's just one of those guys. He's a high energy guy. You know, you love competing against people like that. You know, you're always going to hear where he's at, but you got to let him know likewise. So it's fun to compete against somebody that you've had a personal relationship with.
Off that practice, Baker, you played in the preseason joint practice yesterday. How comparable are they as far as getting the work done?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good when we're able to do like a 2-minute situation like we did yesterday and some third down emphasis. Other than that, it's more so about doing our job, you know, running through our plays against different looks that we're seeing. You know, you try and make these practices as game-like as possible just for those, you know, certain situations. But, you know, it's vital for us in our growth in this offense and defense as well.
But you're just trying to limit exposure to starters in the preseason, not just Kevin, but just around the league in general. Do you think that there could be a situation just from a player's perspective replace some of the preseason work because you're actually getting work in those joint practices where preseason game you're stuck with the mental reps?
I feel like that's a J.C. Treader question, so I'll let him handle that one.
Sorry.
Do you think that, would you like to play in just even a series or two in one of these last 2 preseason games?
If I'm lucky. Coach said if I start a fight at practice, I have to play, so me and Saquon might swing today.
No, I mean, do you think you obviously had no preseason games last year and you were fine. So do you think would you like to, or does it really not?
I mean, I would, any game reps, any reps, I always, you know, embrace and go full effort. So, you know, whatever happens for me. I'm just handling every rep and like I should.
Hey, Baker, what went well yesterday offensively and what needs to get cleaned up today?
Took care of the ball. And you know, we established a line of scrimmage, and so we were physical. We won our one-on-one matchups, and so today it's, you know, about coming in and cleaning up those mental errors and being just as physical as we were. You know, we kind of got after them a little bit, so we're going to expect them to come out a little bit pissed off, and that's how it should be. You know, we have to challenge each other. That's why we do these joint practices, to get better.
Hey Baker, a little bit different way to ask, but with the work you guys are getting done in training camp, do you think you can be fully ready for the Chiefs, even if you guys don't, as starters, get in the preseason games?
Yeah, I mean, our job is to be ready physically, mentally, and just ready to roll as soon as the season comes around. I mean, you're supposed to be ready when you come back to camp physically and, work through all the little, iron out all the little details. And, right now we're on pace to do that.
So now that you got all these practices under your belt, with more to go, obviously, but what are the real differences that you're seeing yourself benefit from continuity?
Just going through these reads, it being, just second nature to go through and not try and force the ball, just check it down, get it in their hands, and move through. Find a positive play and move the chains.
Baker, with Odell not full go yet, how do you and he work together to make sure that when he is back that you guys are full go and take off?
I mean, we get routes on air, and during the special teams breaks, we're getting reps pretty much every day that he's running. We're trying to save his legs for the real thing, but we're getting plenty of reps right now.
Baker, you spoke about being in year 2 with Stefanski. I've seen you just even after reps talking with Hooper, saying, "Hey, try this way," or "Remember when we did it in the game." How nice is that to have things to go off of with all these guys that are returning in a system that you know?
Yeah, I mean, that makes life a whole lot easier right now. We're trying things that are pretty challenging, offensively, of how we want to run routes, certain looks, and formationally how we're setting things up. So we're trying to challenge ourselves each practice, and so our guys are handling it correctly, and we're just getting better.
You know, you're out here working every day. If you don't play, if the offense doesn't play in the preseason, starting offense, is there anything extra you feel like you or the offense would have to do to feel completely comfortable going into week 1?
No, I think right now we're overemphasizing communication on certain looks and adapting on the fly. And like I said, taking care of the ball and no pre-snap penalties, and that's the biggest thing going in, knocking the rust off the early weeks of the regular season is don't beat yourself, and that's the important part, and we're focusing on that right now.
Baker, he talked about if you sell things off the field, things will work out better here. So I'm going to ask, how has being married changed you as far as maturity or whatever?
I mean, I think anytime you have a strong support system and you're able to go home and find that comfortability, I'm the type that once you step out of this building, you have to turn it off. And I'm very lucky and blessed to be surrounded with that. And it's just, like I said earlier, you limit distractions on the outside. You're able to focus and have a clear mind and thinking process.
Baker, any kind of lingering awkwardness with Daniel Jones from a couple of years ago, or do you guys have a good relationship now?
We're good. We're great. They came down to Austin when Colt was with the Giants 2 years ago. We all hung out. No, we're good. We can talk through that.
I think preseason too long. Do you need 6 weeks to get ready?
JC Treader question.
I think Jarvis takes every rep in practice seriously, but then we saw him have a good day yesterday. Do these competitive situations even bring out more?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're competing against a different team, there's certain things within our practices when we're just going against each other of, you guys are really taking care of you. You're not going all the way down. You're not, putting your hands in certain spots. You're taking care of each other. But against a different team, you're competing at a very high level. You're trying to win those matchups and just get used to that full tempo and full intensity. So, yeah, Jarvis is always a guy that cranks it up when it comes to the game reps.
Do you think the timing is there of the passing game, or do you have a ways to go?
I mean, we're continuing to grow. We're not satisfied by any means. There's definitely little nuances that we're continuing to try and work on, but that's what we're stressing and continuing to build.
Kevin Stefanski talked to us right after the season ended about evolving. Do you think the offense will have a new identity this year?
Yeah, I think similar to how we were growing in it last year of how our team's going to play us, and that's how you evolve. You exploit weaknesses, and however they want to defend you, you have to find the answer to it. And that's the part about having continuity and having smart players that we do on offense to be able to adjust and adapt in games and handle that.
We talked to Jed yesterday, and he said he feels he's playing so much better than a year ago. But how impressed were you that he could handle that switch from the right side to the left side yesterday or last year? And then do you see a big jump this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's second nature for him to go from or to be doing all those right tackle reps and have to switch. It's tough on him, and he was able to handle that very well. And hats off to him for doing that. Coach Callahan, I know, worked a ton of reps with him during training camp last year to do that, and he's continuing to be more and more comfortable, and that's not just with the stance and having the switch the footwork, but all the terms and just all the experience and reps that he's had and being seen with the stunts and the different movements they bring to him.
When Pepper says you can't see over the line, you have a good comeback now?
I mean, if I can't see over the line, I know he can't see me. So, a little pep.
What's jumped out at you about Dimitri Felton? I don't think we asked you that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he's got a lot on his plate right now. We've asked him to do a lot, learn receiver and running back. So it's not something rookies normally are able to handle, and so I think it was moving kind of fast for him. But he's a gamer. I think we were able to see in the Jacksonville game when he gets the ball in his hands, he can do some stuff with it. And this week we're repping him at running back, and he's a versatile guy. So we're happy with where he's at and continuing to be a key part of this offense.
Baker, you've done a lot in your career with doubters and then disproving them, right, at all different levels. As a quarterback in the offseason, when there's a lot of pressure on you to prove doubters wrong, mentally, how did you approach that? How do you approach that through your career to make sure you do disprove them?
I mean, I don't care what the doubters say. You have to have self-confidence. You have to trust the people in your corner. And it goes along with setting expectations. You set your own. You lived up to that standard, and you have to hold yourself accountable to that every day. And that's the key to it. You get caught up on the outside. If I was listening to the BS, then I'd probably be done and not playing. So just focus on me and getting better every day.
You hear it though, right? I mean, doesn't it fuel you to some extent, or no?
I mean, at a certain point, yeah. I mean, you hear it because you got plenty of TVs. But if you're paying attention to it that much, then you're not doing your job.
Did it used to fuel you more than it does now? Is that kind of way?
I feel like you wrote a story about that once upon a time, Jake. So you might know the answer to that. But no, it's a part of the process of focusing on the wrong stuff too much, and so able to internalize that and realize that I have to have an edge every single day to be the best version of me for these guys and to be a leader of this franchise. But at the same time, do my job first.
Tom Brady still has a chip on his shoulder, and he's got 7 Super Bowl rings. Have you talked to him about how he is able to, despite his success and his Hall of Fame credentials that he has, how he maintains that same level year after year after year?
That hasn't been something I've specifically asked him, but you can tell he's never satisfied.
Back in 30.
The most important one's the next one. That same play or the next play mentality. And I mean, he's had quotes of it. The best ring is always the next one. And he obviously means that because he continues to chase those. And that speaks a lot about who he is.
Any thoughts on Oklahoma leaving for the SEC?
Still going to have to beat Texas every year.
Come back.
All right, that's Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield at the podium today, having some fun in his media session. As we kind of alluded to earlier, the Browns are going to need some more bodies at linebacker, and wouldn't you know, the 2 linebackers they signed,
shocking, if
Willie
you didn't read
Harvey
those scores.
and Montrell Meander. Willie Harvey, second-year player out of Iowa State, 5'11", 230 pounds, originally signed as an undrafted free agent in 2019 with the Browns. Spent the first 2 weeks of the season on the practice squad, got elevated to the active roster, did make 1 tackle that season, and was with the Browns during training camp last year and was cut at the final cut down of 2020. So he had an off-season, at least, as much as last year's off-season was, in the Joe Woods defense. So he should be able to come in right away and at least contribute there and on special teams, where he will be known by Mike Prefer. Now, beyond that, Montrell Meander, who was out of Grambling State. He originally signed with the Browns as an undrafted free agent in 2018. He's been on the Browns practice squad in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Spent some time with the Raiders in 2018 as well, and has been with the Browns basically all this camp before being released on Tuesday. It didn't even last a week. Montrell Meander is back, and that is because, as we mentioned, Jacob Phillips is out. Taki is unlikely to practice. Mack Wilson unlikely to be able to play in the game. You've got Anthony Walker, who will probably be the veteran that gets to sit down. So a lot going on in that room. Give it.
Well, and obviously, if you bring on a couple guys, you have to get rid of a few guys.
Yes.
So the Browns have waived running back Corey Taylor and wide receiver JoJo Ward, who I talked about an hour ago, and we signed him yesterday. And
it was
I mean, there's a good chance he could come back.
There's a chance he could come back, but the need at linebacker right now, 2 pressing, and the Browns had to add guys into that room, and we'll keep you posted if we see them out here. What I can tell you is that now with the day of figuring out the logistics of this joint practice, Drew Forbes back as the first person out on the field because that's what he does.
Number 1 of 180. Not just 90.
Yeah,
or 85, I should say.
He was number 1 of everybody.
Yeah.
One of the standouts from yesterday, Greg Newsome walking by, got his nice interception to end yesterday's practice and looking probably to get another one. Now, speaking of a man who needs no introduction, the man who will join us at the top of the hour, the Huff, Joe Thomas, live on campus for Cleveland Browns Daily. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Here we are at the Cross Country Mortgage campus in Berea. Nathan Zegura, Jason Gibbs with you. And, of course, before we get into some of the fun that we're about to have, and, boy, it will be robust, I have a question. Are you on the injured list? Because we can help you get you back in the game. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. And, of course, now our guest, none other than the Hoff himself, in town as a part of the News 5 broadcast of your Cleveland Browns this Sunday against the Giants, 1 o'clock, First Energy Stadium. The Hoff, Tom McCarthy, myself were on the call down in Jacksonville. We had a blast with that. So, Hoff, I got to ask you, first time up there calling a Browns game. I know you've done other games. Calling a Browns game. What was that like for you?
2 words. Pure joy.
Yes.
It was absolute amazingness. I had so much fun working with you, working with Tom McCarthy, getting an opportunity to talk about the team that I love, watching the first iteration of the 2021 Browns. It was so much fun. I had to pinch myself at one point. I was looking down on the field and watching the guys and just talking the shop and writing on the telestrator X's and O's. And I was like, man, I would do this. I'd pay to do this. And they're paying me. This is the greatest job in the history of sports.
The good news is a man of your talents will be paid handsomely to do this. You will, and there'll be multiple offers, I'm sure. You won't have to say. It was pure joy. We had a blast, and part of what made it fun was obviously the camaraderie, working together. But when you get a professional product on the field, where it didn't feel like we weren't watching the starters. It didn't feel like we were watching backups. It didn't feel like this was even a preseason game. It was just a smooth operation for Kevin Stefanski and his crew.
They did such a nice job. I mean, I've been part of a lot of first preseason games that were nothing less than a debacle. You get offsides, penalties, and false starts, and you can't get the play in, and you're burning timeouts in the first half, because this is really their first opportunity for them to get out there under the lights with real timing between plays, with officials, with the whole shoot and bang from start to finish. And the Browns executed it nearly flawlessly. You know, James Hudson had the false start that we talked about yesterday in our production meeting with Kevin Stefanski. He made sure to bring that up. But, you know,
that was it. That was the one.
That's amazing. If that was week 17 from an operation standpoint with that smoothness, you'd have been like, yeah, we feel really good about our operation in and out of this game. And for them to be able to do that with not even their starters on the field was a true testament to the preparation and the work that this coaching staff has done and the process that they have put in place for these players to learn everything that they need to as it goes into an NFL game.
As somebody who's done it, right, when you watch that, do you say that just means this team is incredibly well coached, that everybody is buying in, there isn't the drop-off that you would expect? Because, look, in years past, you go from the first team to the second team, there's a significant drop-off. And from a talent standpoint, we know how good our starters are. That's not to say that they aren't elite. They are. But from an operation standpoint, there used to be a significant drop. Then you get to the threes, and sometimes it's, these guys aren't getting a ton of reps. You don't even know what's going on. Yeah. And this couldn't be more smooth. So is that the coaching staff doing a great job, the players buying it? What do you attribute that to?
Well, it's all those things, but I think primarily it's the coaching staff and the way that they teach, and that the way that they focus on the little details, the minutia of everything that happens from A to Z when those guys come out here for training camp. They're covering it with these guys. There's nothing that they're going to just leave to chance, which is so impressive. Like you mentioned, I mean, how many times have we come out there in the first preseason game and the last thing you want to talk about is getting the play in and out and getting guys on sides and figuring out when the ball should be snapped, because then you don't even get to worry about the football. And to not have to think about that or talk about that, especially as a guy who was in the booth calling the game, not have to be, oh, here's another penalty. Oh, they can't get lined up. Oh, another timeout. That was pretty nice.
It was nice. And frankly, the penalties and more came on the Jacksonville side, but I think the Jags may have provided one of the great penalties in the history of football when an offensive lineman full-on pulled. You didn't just flinch. He didn't take one step and realize, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull around here.
Yeah, that's what we call a lack of awareness. His Madden awareness is in the single digits when you pull and take 4 or 5 steps before you realize you false started and you were a little bit early before the snap.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
I've seen it like when guys are half-assing it through like walkthroughs and stuff like that where they're just not paying attention at all. But to have a backup guy who's clearly fighting for a job have no concept of what the snap count was at all. He had to be so dialed in on his play, on what he was going to do. Like, I can imagine sometimes what happens is you get so focused on, like, the details of your play. Like, okay, I know this is a big play. We talked about it all week. I got to pull around the corner. I'm going to hit. Ray Lewis is coming down. He's going to be scraping hard. I got to get ready. I'm, buckling that chin strap. I'm tightening it before the play. If I see that safety rotate, now it's going to be Ed Reed, and he's going to try to take my legs out. So I'm thinking about, okay, if it's Ray Lewis, he's going to try to take my head off. It's Ed Reed, he's going to take my legs out. And you're thinking about that. And all of a sudden, you kind of go into the robot mode and you just go on one because you're not thinking about the snap count anymore. You got all these other more important issues going through your head,
significantly more important, I'd say.
But in that situation, come on, man, you can't lose total track of what the snap count was.
It must be. It's like when I'm golfing with my buddy the kid, and he leaves a putt short right in the jaws. He goes, fell in love with the line, forgot to hit it.
Yes, exactly. I love it.
you gotta.
That's it.
You need it all. You got to follow, and you got to
man.
hit it. You got to have it all.
Can't forget.
So yesterday's joint practice we'll talk about in a second, but what I just want to kind of paint the scene here for everybody. What I've seen, which makes me very happy, number 90, Jadeveon Clowney, in pads today. He was not in pads, and we haven't seen him participate in quite some time, so it's good to see him out here. Some were wondering, and as thus far, I do not see the linebackers. We had to sign 2. Of course, Jacob Phillips lost for the year, according to reports, with a torn bicep from Adam Schefter. The Browns signing Montrell Meander, bringing him back. I do see Montrell. There he is, number 41. Montrell Meander is out here. Willie Harvey as well, so I'll keep an eye out to see if he is back and able to get in and get reps today. Meander, though, is back out there because it's a linebacker room now. Mac Wilson probably won't do team drills, but he is out here. Sione Takitaki is not practicing today. Tony Fields is not practicing today. Jacob Phillips is out. We know that. And, when you think about the game on Sunday, Joe, all of a sudden you're going to go into it. If it's like Jacksonville, which everything, nothing official, but it feels like it'll be like Jacksonville. Anthony Walker won't play. It feels unlikely that Mac would play in the game. It feels unlikely Taki would play in the game. We know Tony Fields and Jacob Phillips aren't playing in the game, so that could have left you there with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Malcolm Smith, and Elijah Lee to play the whole game at linebacker. So they brought in Willie Harvey and Montrell Meander, and for those two, I'd have to imagine they'll get plenty of work on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. JOK played pretty much the entire game against the Jaguars, and we talked to him yesterday about, hey, how good did it feel to be able to get out there and just kind of push your cardio a little bit? Because no matter what you do in practice, no matter what you do conditioning-wise, it's not like a game because there's an adrenaline, there's an anxiety that goes on during the game that just kind of wears you out a little bit that you don't get when you're out here practicing. And so I think for JOK to be able to play 3 straight hours in that Florida heat and humidity, which it was not 100 degrees, but it was very humid in Jacksonville. So for him to be, after missing almost 10 days with COVID at the beginning of training camp, to be able to come back out here, play the full game, and look just as explosive and lightning fast as he was at the beginning of the game in the end, I think was a testament to who he is physically as an athlete and just how he's prepared since he's come back from that COVID list.
I know we'll talk more about it on Sunday, obviously, during the broadcast when he'll be featured prominently, but how impressive is that young man and just the complete lack of satisfaction. He wants no praise. He's kind of like Stefanski in that regard. Don't give me any of this praise. I got to get better.
The thing that he said yesterday when we had him on the conference call that I loved, because it reminded me of something that I would do all the time, is after the game, the first thing you think about is you dwell on all the mistakes that you had. That's all you can think about, and you obsess over the mistakes. And a lot of times that's sort of an offensive lineman mindset because that's how we get graded, right? We get graded by the number of mistakes we make. It's not the number of great plays or the number of pancakes. Yeah, sure, those are great on Monday morning in the film room with the boys, but nobody notices you. That's the best thing you can have happen for an offensive lineman.
You could pass protect 75, well, let's say, okay, so maybe throw it 40 times in a game.
Yeah, let's say 40.
And
if Norv Turner was the offensive coordinator, it would be
maybe
80,
50,
maybe 55.
Maybe 50, but you can be flawless on 38, dominate your guy, but if they get by you twice, that's all anybody's talking about.
Exactly, and that's all you can think about. So the mindset of an offensive lineman is sick and perverted for a lot of reasons, but one of it is because of the nature of the position. But to hear a guy like JOK say, oh, man, all I could think about after the game was all the plays I missed and all the things I could have done better for a position that can do a lot of really great things. And he did in the game with his sacks, the way he was able to make the tackle on the slot receiver on the far side of the field based on my perspective where I was up in the booth was just incredible. He showed all the things that Browns fans are so excited about and more in that first game. And instead of talking about, I felt pretty good about my first game is what you kind of would expect. He was like, no, all I could think about was all the mistakes I made. And I'm like, dude, this is the guy that has a mindset to be a champion.
And that's what you love, and I love that my ability to relate to that story is yours comes from playing in the National Football League at a Hall of Fame level at left tackle and not wanting to make one or two mistakes. Mine comes from my youth in basketball and baseball because I was pretty good as a youth athlete, but I could have a game where I'd score 20 and, in 6th or 7th grade, that's a lot of points then. But as soon as I got in the car, all my dad would do was rip me for the 3 things I messed up to the point where I'd be like, hey, does anybody want to come home in the car with me? Right. So that became my mindset. That's all I could think about. Okay, what did I mess up? What am I going to hear about?
You needed a shield in the car from Dad's criticism.
Oh, yeah. Pedro, we needed a human shield from not Pedro. He could be rough. Gosh. The mustache would just be bouncing up and down. Criticism flying.
Criticism barking out of his
but listen,
angry lips.
He would say, well, you've done all right for yourself, so maybe it was worth it. It worked for you. It worked for you.
That's right.
So
ends justify the means.
You and I just happened to see quite a specimen, Myles Garrett, running by. He's in the pants that would indicate he might be participating today. He's in the cleats that would indicate he might be participating today. He's not wearing a shirt because if you look like Myles Garrett, why would you? But perhaps at some point he will be donning the pads today.
Is it a punishment for literally breaking the rowing machine yesterday?
Yes.
The rowing
okay, so they do the ski one, the ski where they're
the ski erg.
Yeah, they're sitting there on the medicine balls, and they were racing, and it was Myles, Clowney, and then Monty Gibson, who was in your room.
Monty's in great shape.
You tried to make it into his room, and you could tell these guys, they were going all out, and Myles at one point just snapped the left side.
Snapped it. That's ridiculous on many folds, but as you know, I didn't do a lot of practicing towards the end of my career, so I spent a lot of time on the old ski erg. And one offseason, John Greco was rehabbing, I think, like a foot injury or something, and we looked up the world record for 1 minute on the ski erg, and we tried to spend all offseason breaking it. And Greco was within like a few meters of breaking it at one point, but he didn't break the machine. So that makes me wonder, can Myles set the world record on the ski erg machine? Now, that would be something you could have a lot of pride in there.
The way that they were competing yesterday, they were going for something.
I got to talk to Myles tomorrow.
Yeah, we need to find out if he was going.
I got to find this out if he was trying to break John Greco's almost world record here. The pride of Youngstown, Ohio would have none of that. If he found out his record was broke, he'd come out in retirement.
He might begin the training anew there.
My goodness.
So here we are, everybody out here. Talk us through from your perspective a joint practice, because I'll tell you, for yesterday, it seemed like the starters, really enjoyed getting that competition. Baker was sharp. Jarvis was dominant. Kareem, Chubb had big runs. The line did a great job. The Chief was there, and then defensively, Newsome comes up with the pick. The Browns handed it to the Giants. Let's just be plain about it. They were the better team. They were more physical. They wanted it more. They were more disciplined. They were more organized. They were more efficient in every possible respect. But as a player, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. I talked to Malik Jackson earlier this week. Maybe was that Wednesday? Maybe Wednesday.
Malik?
Today's Friday. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Friday.
Yeah.
Way off.
I don't even know what day it is.
Today is Friday.
Yeah. I was driving with my wife the other day, and she goes, "What day is it?" And I hit her with October,
Billy, let's go.
Duty Magazine Day.
Let's go. Yes.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like in training camp, though, right? Every day's Groundhog's Day. You got no idea. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, October, who knows?
It most certainly is. But for, Malik, Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, received huge free agent money. So he's been at the top of his position, obviously the top of the game from a team standpoint, winning that Super Bowl. And I was talking to him yesterday. He goes, yeah, man, I've been spending the last couple of days, watching Giants tape, getting ready. He's like, Will Hernandez is a good guy. We've had some battles. Like, I'm ready to go. And I said, let me stop you right there. I hope that the young guys in the room are seeing you do this. But clearly for the starters, that was a big day because that might be the only action they get.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important to note that these two practices are kind of like the preseason games of yesteryears, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the days that the coaching staffs are going to want to get that good one-on-one work. and one-on-one, not as in one player on one player, but our starters on your starters. And I think the reason that a lot of coaches, especially the new age forward-thinking type coaches, really like these joint practices more than preseason is because you get an opportunity to get way more of the reps that you want to see in these joint practices, because these controlled environments, if you feel like you need to work on your 2-minute drill, you can script several 2-minute drills.
That's right.
You can stop it however you want, whatever iterations of the 2-minute you want. If you need a field goal, if you want to have to work and get a touchdown at the end, like, you can work on all those things because you can break it down. And so these coaches are treating these practices exactly like a preseason game. And I think that's trickled down to the players, because the last thing the players want to do is get humiliated at all in practice. And even beyond that is you don't want to be humiliated by the other guys that are coming into town from out of town from the Giants. And so there's high stakes when they're going out here running these drills. You're going to get one-on-one pass rush. You're going to get one-on-one, like we saw with Demetric Felton roasting the Giants linebackers.
I felt like that was almost unfair.
Which is not really fair. Let's be honest. The drill is already set up, like we heard from Stefanski. It's really already set up for the offense to win. But to go against Felton is like kind of an eye roller. If I was a starter for the Giants, I'd be like, no, bro, I'm not doing this against this guy.
Third-string guy
So
out there.
put one of the third stringers out there to have film of him getting toasted in one-on-ones. But, I mean, those are the type of things that you get in a joint practice that you don't get in a game. You get an opportunity to get those breakdowns, those one-on-one run blocks. We used to do 2-on-1 double team drills. We used to do half line. We used to do like a goal line breakdown. So you're getting probably 2 or 3 preseason games worth of good reps doing it in one joint practice because of how you can script them.
Because you can guarantee that work. You can't
guaranteeing it.
guarantee
You
a
can't.
red zone trip. You can't guarantee a 2-minute drill.
I can't tell you how many times in the preseason, especially the first game, you go out there and you have a 12 or 15 play drive, and usually you'd only get maybe a quarter or one drive, and you go down and you score a touchdown, and you roll it back, and you're like, well, we only got 4 of the plays that we wanted to get called because of the situation in the game. Because you go from 1st and 10 and you gain 8 yards. Now you're in 2nd and 2, which is not something that you usually practice all that often. So now you're just kind of rolling another play out there, and all of a sudden now it's 3rd and 1. Well, you're not going to run like your 1st and 10 play on 3rd and 1. You're going to go in to get short yardage work, right? So you're calling plays based on what the situation dictates in a game. And after one drive, you may only got 3 or 4 good plays, and then you look back at, okay, what did we do in the practice before this game in the preseason and the practice before that? A lot of times you were resting up for the preseason game. So you wasted those 2 days of practice getting ready and resting so that you can go out and have good work in the preseason, and then you don't even get good work because you had one drive and you only had 4 or 5 plays that you really wanted to work on that you ended up getting called.
And there it is. That's why this is so valuable, and that's why, as you said, the ones we're treating it like the preseason for them, and it very well may be the preseason. I can tell you Myles Garrett does have his pads on. Looks like both he and Clowney will be participating today for the Browns. The guys off to our left who will not be participating today, I see Anthony Schwartz. I see Sione Takitaki, Sheldrick Redwine dancing and playing the drums. Grant Delpit is over there. MJ Stewart, AJ Green,
no
and
OBJ over
Denzel
there.
Ward. No, Odell Beckham Jr. is out there stretching, and maybe we'll get a little look at him in the team, Huff.
I saw a little interesting note as we were chit-chatting here earlier. John Mara, the owner of the Giants, was out here, and him and Odell Beckham were having a little conversation.
A little chat.
A little chat that lasted more than about 5 minutes, and it harkened in my mind back to the comments OBJ made when he was traded to the Browns about how the Giants organization wanted to send him out here to die, and there was a lot of spite involved in that. So I wonder, have the waters been smoothed over since then, or was that a smoothing over the waters moment that we just witnessed?
Yeah, they say time heals all wounds, but you sometimes need a little communication and a little yeah, he was hurt when Odell was traded here.
He was
I interviewed him.
not
He
pleased.
was hurt, like it felt like he
Well,
got
he's an
dumped.
emotional person, as we all know. You see it on the field with the passion that he has, and when you put the type of time and commitment into an organization in a city that most of us do, to all of a sudden be traded, I never felt that. But even guys that didn't have the really hard feelings that Odell did, guys that would tell me about how much it hurt them because they felt like it was a relationship that all of a sudden got split, and the other side was not interested in having that relationship anymore, and it comes out of nowhere a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, and for a guy like Odell, who was pretty much, him and Eli, the face of the franchise, to get dealt to a place like Cleveland at the time was not a great place to get dealt to, that can really hurt a lot. And there's a lot of spite when you go back and play your old team a lot of times.
I would imagine so. And it's a chance for Kyle Lauletta, for example, to extract a little revenge. Odell probably won't get that kind of revenge, but Kyle Lauletta might this Sunday. The Giants, of course, drafted him in the 4th round out of the University of Richmond. The Spiders. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have my one-on-one with Kyle Lauletta. Little big T transition there with the Huff. See some luminaries, Mr. Grigson, Sags, making their way out onto the field to soak in today's action here at the joint practices. Huff, what a pleasure. Can't wait for Sunday. It's going to be a blast. Ah, yes. One of the great pitchers in Browns Live history, by the way. That one. Oh, yes. The bravos all around. All right, we'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily right after this. Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily here. Practice getting underway. So far, the team's still separated. The Giants on the field to our right, the Browns on the field to the left in front of the grandstands as they're getting ready to get underway and get into some of these team periods here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. A guy who played very well down in Jacksonville and no doubt has the game circled on Sunday. After all, he was a draft pick of the New York Giants, a fourth-round pick, quarterback Kyle Lauletta. I caught up with him earlier today in our Cleveland Browns Daily exclusive one-on-one. Very happy.
You're down.
Browns quarterback Kyle Lauletta. And Kyle, I mean, you were the star down in Jacksonville, 19 of 27, 217 yards, the 2 touchdowns. How did it feel just to get out there and put something like that out on tape?
Yeah, it felt great. It's been a while since I've played football. A lot of the younger guys, last year with COVID not having a preseason, so I was definitely itching to get back out there and, just trying to take advantage of the reps that I get. Even in practice, we don't get a whole lot of reps. We're trying to save guys' legs and stuff, so to be able to get that much playing time, and to just start to get into a rhythm, it felt great. It was awesome to be back out there.
When you think about that game and you go back and you watch it and you break it all down, what was something that stood out to you that you really liked that you did, and then what is something that you want to take to the field and improve Sunday against the Giants?
Yeah, I just liked, my command out there. I felt comfortable. I felt like, for the most part, especially later on in the game, I felt like I was accurate, getting rid of the ball on time. And that's the name of the game, playing quarterbacks, just getting it out of your hands and getting it to the right guy and giving him an accurate ball. I think early on, I was a little shaky at first, had a couple inaccurate throws down in the red zone, would have loved to have had, a touchdown on that first drive. But I think I settled in there and like I said, just kind of commanding the game and just kind of taking what the defense gives me. It's kind of sometimes it's tough in practice to have that mindset when you only get a few reps. You want to make it happen so bad, so you want to, sometimes it might cause you to force 1 or 2. But, knowing that you have all that game left to play, you're just, hey, just take it easy, take it one play at a time. And that was my mentality. So.
All right, let's go to the first touchdown. You started off looking left. You wanted to go down the left. You come back to the right. Yeah. Now, when you put it in the air, sometimes I feel like being a quarterback is like a three-point shooter. Like, okay, that's going to be right there. You can see in the air. This one was more of a 50-50. But what were you thinking when it was in the air and then when you saw Davion just leap out of the building to go get it?
No doubt. I was trying to go left to JB at first. I looked the safety at the middle of the field, tried to keep him there and then go left. And I saw the corner was on top of him, so I came back late. And just tried to put it in the corner. I was a little late with the throw. Had I picked that other side to start, I probably would have gotten it up and down a little bit sooner. But just trying to give him a chance and not let that defender make a play. Luckily, he didn't turn his back, so DD had good position and made an incredible play. I mean, you don't see that every day in a preseason game, but that was a tremendous play, and I think it really got us started. So it was, great to get that touchdown before going into half.
And then you would go in the second half and author a 20-play 10-plus minute, 89-yard drive, culminating in a touchdown to Ryan Switzer, which we'll talk about in a second. But what was that drive, just being out there, what was that one like?
Yeah, it was great. Johnny Stanton had a couple, big plays to move the sticks. I felt like we were rolling. I mean, those guys on defense were definitely tired, getting worn down. And I just kept telling the offensive line that because I think midway through that drive there was an injury on defense that kind of gave those guys a break. But I was just telling them, hey, guys, they're more tired than you. I know you're tired, but they're more tired because I was looking over there at the D-line, and they had their, hands on their head, hands on the hip. They were all gassed. So I just said, hey, man, just stick, stay at it, wear them down. And we were running the ball, and sprinkled in some passes here or there. But that was awesome. Anytime you can, have the time of possession and win that battle and just hold on to the ball and control the clock like that, it's great. And I think that's, Browns football. That's our brand of football, is controlling the ball and controlling the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what we did.
All right, I know Kevin Stefanski likes to talk about 4-point plays, and that's a 3rd and goal situation where it's either a 7 or a 3. And those are the ones he says you got to hit those. You did. Ryan Switzer, Joe Thomas was actually calling the game in the booth. He goes, look for Ryan Switzer over the middle out of that formation, and sure enough, you got it right in there. What was, just kind of walk me through that play from pre-snap all the way through the execution for the touchdown.
It's interesting. So the previous play, we ran something similar in the same 1-by-3 set there. We had the tight end on a skinny post, and the ball got batted down. But, we ran that exact same play. So the second play was a little different. Now we had the most inside receiver running under route. I think that hook linebacker, one of the inside backers, noticed, last play we were trying to throw that skinny on the backside. So when I went to throw the skinny, he kind of sprinted over there to try to get underneath it, and it opened that window up great for Ryan. So it was good protection. I had a clean pocket. None of the D-line's hands were up, and it just kind of parted like the Red Sea. and it was good on time, and I was glad that Ryan could get a touchdown before he got injured. Now he's dealing with a little foot or ankle injury, but it was good to see him get that touchdown before.
And you guys had gotten some work out here, and knowing what he went through in this offseason to get him that, and as you mentioned, that probably was a pretty big moment. I'm sure he was pretty happy about that.
Oh, of course, yeah. He was a warrior. I mean, he's been hurt for a while, but just to see him battle through it and play well like that was great. Yeah, it was a great drive, and it was great to cap it off with a touchdown like that.
What did the coaches say to you kind of after that game or even during that game? Because, Kevin Stefanski's all about the operation. Sometimes he's more excited about how quickly he got out of the huddle and called the play than he is the throw itself, even though the throw's pretty good. But what did he say to you kind of after this one in AVP?
Well, it just seemed like I think they just said it was a clean game. We didn't have any, I think we might have had one pre-snap penalty, but for the most part we played just a clean game, and that's what you want to see. You want to see moving the ball. You want to see completing passes and moving the chains on third down, and even that long drive like that. That's our brand of football. So I think they were pleased with the threes and how we went in there and just executed and make it look just like the ones. Take what they're doing and just kind of bring it to your own game and make sure we don't skip a beat when we're out there.
When was the last time you had that much playing football? Because I can see that you really enjoyed yourself out there.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Like I said, last year I didn't get any time, but 2 years ago I've had some good playing time in the preseason. And it was against the Giants, so I'm eager to get back out there and play against them and hopefully put another good performance in there.
Yeah, obviously they drafted you, right? So does this mean a little bit more than your average preseason game?
A little bit, yeah, no doubt. Felt a little bit different at practice yesterday, just knowing so many familiar faces. But these are always games that you love, and whether it's a rival team in college or somebody used to play for in the NFL, just gives you a little bit of extra motivation. And not that I need any, but I'm excited to get out there and put my best foot forward and like I said, move the offense and command the huddle and have another good game.
What have you learned from Baker and Case getting to be in that quarterback room with those guys in AVP who also played in this league?
Yeah, no, I've learned a lot. I think with Baker, I think he's done a great job of first of all being a leader. Both of those guys are great leaders, and just understanding how to play the quarterback position, how to get rid of the ball on time, but these guys have been awesome to me. I have so much respect for both of them, and like you said, just trying to take what they do and because with the limited reps we get in practice, you really have to take those mental reps and really kind of picture yourself in there while those guys are out there doing their thing. So that's what I try to do, because they're both great guys to learn from, and I think I'll play well if I just play like those two and do what they're doing out there.
Now I've noticed that the quarterback RV is back. You got any good stories for us from the quarterback RV?
No, nothing. No, just some good movies every now and then when you need downtime. You got some Mario Kart playing in there, but no, it's good. It's
who's the best Mario Kart player?
I don't know. Me, Hoop, and Baker were playing the other day. I think we all won one. We played a few games and we all won one. But no, it's good fun. That RV's like 50 degrees in there too. It's pretty funny. It's chilly. You might need to bring a sweatshirt, but it's good.
Listen, it's been hot and muggy out here, so it probably feels pretty good.
Yeah, it feels great. No, it's awesome. I'm glad Baker did that. He's an awesome guy, all-time guy. So just happy to be teammates with him.
The orange and brown practice, you got a taste, obviously, of kind of the craziness. You've seen it out here of Browns fans. This will be kind of the next level up, obviously a preseason opener, the first time to look at the 2021 Browns. What have you kind of felt about the fans, having them back, and their passion, and how excited are you to get in front of them on a Sunday?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, these fans are world class, man. They're passionate. They love their football, and they're excited. They expect a lot out of us, which they should. But it was nice going to that brown and orange game and just seeing the type of energy in the stadium. Last year with COVID, we had fans there, but it wasn't the full capacity. Yeah. So to get those people back in there gives us a boost. Anytime you're playing at home, you can feed off of that crowd, feed off of that energy. So I can't wait. Like you said, it's my first game in front of the home crowd, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're all excited. I'm excited to see those people out there too. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, what's one fun fact about you that people should know? Something that you think people should know about you?
I don't know. One fun fact.
And then we'll get more serious, like something that you want Browns fans, because football, it's interesting. You guys play in your helmets, right? So you don't have that same personal relationship. But I always like to ask guys, what's something you would want the fans when they look out there and they see number 17? What's something you want them to know about you beyond that? Okay, I was a Richmond Spider. I was drafted by the Giants. I'm here. I lit up the Jags. No big deal. You know?
No doubt. Well, I just had a daughter last season at the end of the year. She was born December 10th, so we were kind of in the heat of it. You know, trying to get some momentum going into the playoffs. But I guess everybody who follows me on Instagram would know I post my daughter quite a bit. But it's been amazing having her. She just turned 8 months a little while ago. So just you know, blessed to have you know, a wife and a beautiful little girl that we've welcomed into the family. So I'm playing for them, and you know, there's plenty of motivation out there to be had, but you know, those two is really all I need. So
well, I can tell you, there's nothing like Daddy's little girl, and she will go from 8 months to 13. My daughter's now 13 in the blink of an eye, and it's crazy. It's the best. Being a girl dad, there's nothing better.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm sure you've loved that again, to come home and have, when you walk through the door, everything kind of makes everything, puts it all into perspective, right?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, coming home is
back in 30.
And seeing her smile, even on FaceTime, you know, being able to, you know, we've spent all this time at camp and we don't have a ton of time to spend with our families, but even just being able to FaceTime her and seeing her smile and stuff, it definitely keeps me happy, keeps me going, and you know, makes me all the more appreciative to be out here playing the game I love.
Well, we're very excited to see you go out there and turn in another great performance against the Giants. Really appreciate the time, and we'll be pulling for you, Kyle. It was fun to see, and see much more of it this Sunday, hopefully.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
That's Kyle Lauletta, and what a good guy. Very enjoyable young man who really flashed down in Jacksonville, put on an excellent performance, and girl dad, he said that's changed his life. It most certainly will when you get to take that step, and certainly we're all rooting for him. It'll be fun to see him against his former team here, the team that drafted him on Sunday. All right, so much more to come here from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. We'll update you on what we've seen, and we'll wrap it up here as the Browns and the Giants getting ready. Day 2 of the joint practices here on Cleveland Browns Daily. The Cleveland Browns would like to thank Buffalo Wild Wings for providing lunch to our staff today. Buffalo Wild Wings is the best place to work during the football season, so visit www.clebwwcareers.com to learn more about open positions in Strongsville, Medina, and Beechwood. B-Dubs, where every day is game day. And don't forget, coming up at 3:45 today, Browns Live, the final one of training camp. Will bring you all the action from the joint practices plus exclusive player interviews. Myself and Ken Carmen bringing you into the Cross Country Mortgage campus. All right, Joe, quick housekeeping. We saw Greedy Williams go into the locker room there. Not something that you wanted to see. This defense hit hard by injuries. Denzel Ward is not participating. A.J. Green's not participating. M.J. Stewart not participating in the corner room. Keandre Thomas, who had that nice game in Jacksonville, hurt his hammy. He is now on the IR, and so you look at this corner room today. Greg Newsome had the interception to end yesterday's practice. He'll start on one side. This is a big opportunity for Robert Jackson and Brian Allen, guys who have a chance here to step up.
Yeah, when you get those injuries in the preseason, you know that already your starters probably won't be playing many snaps. So those guys that are going to be out there, these are going to be some valuable snaps. A lot of opportunity for them. They put some tape out there for not only this team, but if they don't make this team, for the other teams in the NFL. And that was what the coaches were always trying to sell to us in the preseason. Like, hey, you want to put your best foot forward because you may not make this team if you're at one of those position groups that is really stacked, but this is your audition for all resume. 31 NFL teams, and everything that you put on film is your resume.
So the Giants tackles come in yesterday. There is no Myles Garrett. There's no Jadeveon Clowney, no Tack McKinley. They're probably thinking there's no way they're having him come out on Friday. The boys are back in town. What are they saying in that tackle room, Hoff?
They're having a bad day. They're trying to think of any excuse on, my hammy is getting a little tight, Coach. I don't know if I can go today. Oh, my arm, my other arm. You're limping. You said you hurt your right leg, but your left leg is the one that's limping. How did that happen?
Must be overcompensating. Overcompensating. All right, last thought. Giants did not have things go their way they wanted yesterday. Do you think that they're going to come out amped up, and this will be a good test for the Browns? See if you can keep them down 2 days in a row.
They're going to be amped up, but I'm sure the butt chewing that their coaches gave them only works if the coaches thought that they weren't giving effort because they were being lazy yesterday. They're just outmatched. They're outcoached. They're outgunned from a talent standpoint, and it'll be interesting to see if it leads to more chippiness, but I don't think the outcome will be any different today than it was yesterday due to the things that I previously mentioned.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Of course, catch the Hoff on the News 5 broadcast this Sunday from First Energy Stadium. Browns preseason game number 2. All right, Browns Live in 45 minutes. Action getting underway. The next level is next for Gibbe, for the Hoff, for Kyle Lauletta, for Callie Brownson, who had a nice little surprise appearance on today's show. Thanks for listening to another edition of Cleveland Browns